Tower of London. Those three words generally bring up feelings of doom and gloom, of the wives of Henry VIII that were executed there, and other dark things that went on in that place. But did you know that it actually was built in the latter half of the 11th century by William the Conqueror, and it was a palace. It was a royal residence, just like Buckingham Palace. It is haunted, by the way, and I'll show you some things from it, some clips. But it was also used as an armory, a treasury, a house of records, and to host, and it still does host, the crown jewels. But yes, there's plenty of ghosts going on in there. It was also used as a prison from the years 1100 to 1952. That's a long time. But there were only 7 executions that took place inside the Tower of London. So if you visit it and you go through the gates inside the tower, keep in mind there were only 7 people that were executed there. The rest, and there were many, were public executions. I had the opportunity to investigate the Tower of London twice, and it's such a huge place that you've kind of got to go for a purpose if you're ghost investigating. And this time I was looking for the Tower Boys, the 2 princes that went missing in 1483. Their bodies were, or skeletons were, accidentally unearthed under a stairwell in the 1600s, 1647, I believe. And the theory has it that it was a political kind of thing, so that they would not inherit the throne, which seems most likely. And I wanted to know if they were still there, if they were hurt, if they needed help. Can you imagine being stuck in the Tower of London for eternity and not know you're dead? I don't know. So that was my goal. Now, when you go up to the White Tower, the stairwell where they were found was actually like on the outside. So you're outside and it's gated off and it's got the, all the info on there. But you can hear people going by. And the clips that I'm going to show you, in this one, you're going to hear people in the background. Now you can tell, especially if you followed some of my other videos and EVPs, voices and things, you can tell when the sound is coming from like behind, and we can tag it and say that there's, people walking by, but you can clearly hear people talking, but it's different. Usually the ghost will have a one-word answer, and to make it easier on them, because it does take a lot of energy, we will just say yes or no. So I'm going to play you an audio clip. Well, it's a video clip, but you're going to hear an audio. And I specifically was asking Edward, is your brother with you? And you're going to hear a clear young child's voice say no. Now, what I'm gathering from that is if they're in the Tower of London, that was their home. I didn't get the feeling. Remember, I am a psychic medium, and everybody has those abilities where you can get a feeling as to what's going on. But that is my profession. So I kind of had a feeling that no meant like, no, my brother's somewhere else, like playing somewhere or in another room or whatever. It didn't sound like a sad no. It just said no. And you can tell the difference between that no and the noise behind us and the noise that's going on. So take a listen. I'll play it twice. Edward, is your brother with you? Yes or no, is your brother with you? Edward, is your brother with you? Yes or no, is your brother with you? Another really interesting and rather creepy place in the towers, right when you go in, it's to the right, and it's called Traitor's Gate. And the reason it's called that is because the people that were considered traitors, and that is why most of them were executed, is because they were traitors against the crown, or perceived to be traitors against the crown. They were taken by boat and they had to go under London Bridge, that big giant bridge. And put yourself in their place. You're going to Traitors Gate. You will be executed in the Tower Square. And you know you're going to be executed. And as you're going under the bridge, there's heads of people that were executed. Even though most of them were by hanging, there's heads. So that's your fate. That's kind of creepy. So I think I'd be kind of scared too. Just going there and being in that area and looking at that gate, you do kind of get the creeps. And it feels kind of sad because you picture those people being there. So in this clip, again, it's video, but we got audio. Always have a feeling that there's somebody at Traitors Gate. There were a lot of sirens in the background. We're in the middle of London. It's going to happen. And I didn't think we were getting anything. And I just said, "Are you hurt?" And then you hear the sirens, and I say something like, "Oh, here we go again." And you hear a clear male voice, an adult male voice, say, "No." Again, just a yes or no answer. But they clearly say no. It is not anybody walking by. Again, pay attention to the noises behind. And you can tell it's coming actually through. I was videoing and doing the audio with the phone, so it was basically coming through the phone. And you'll get used to this. To listen to this, I'll play it again twice. Are you hurt? Go down. Sirens. Are you? Are you hurt? Go down. Sirens. So my friend Stephanie and I kept it to the White Tower. And we were there all day, just in the White Tower. Because there's just so much going on there. And she got a creepy feeling in one spot. She said, "I don't know, just this feels weird." So we just sat up and started asking questions. And I kind of got the feeling that, well, I get this feeling all the time there, that people were treated unfairly, which I'm sure they were. There were probably plenty of people that were executed that didn't need to be executed. So I asked, were you treated unfairly? Now, you're going to hear people in the background, again, because this is a public place, and it wasn't even a busy day. And you hear a child talking to, I believe, their dad. There was a dad and a little girl behind us. And you hear the dad say, she says something, you hear the dad say, "Mm-hmm." Again, you can tell where it's coming from. And when I said, were you treated unfairly, you hear, and again, I asked yes or no. I. Now, why would they say I? I don't think they said I. I think they said I, like A-Y-E, like Scottish. So listen to it and tell me your thoughts on it. If somebody was not treated unfairly, can you just say yes into the phone, into the lights? Or just say yes. If somebody was not treated unfairly, can you just say yes into the phone, into the lights? Or just say yes. My first visit to the Tower of London a couple of years back was more general. We kind of went everywhere. But we did go to the White Tower, and we did go to the Armory, where they keep everything from the suits of armor to swords and knives and cannons and guns. You name it, it's there. Well, obviously somebody had to guard that place back in the day. Now, you'll hear me tag everything, but there's two guys chatting. Real guys, real people, talking to each other, and you can hear them. They're in another room. They were actually by the ammunition, and I went off into a little room by myself because I had a feeling somebody was there. And by the way, if you're ever ghost investigating and you get that feeling, either take a photo, put your voice recorder on, ask some questions, because a lot of times you're right. You don't have to be a psychic medium to do it. Okay. So back to the ghost. You'll hear me tag everything. I tag the noises, but I specifically ask if you're still looking after the place to say yes or no. Again, the yes or no. And you hear a loud, clear yes. And you can tell it is not the voices of the other two gentlemen. And there is whispering in the background too. Male voices. Is there somebody here who still looks after everything? Can you speak very loudly, yes or no? And there is whispering in the background too. Male voices. Is there somebody here who still looks after everything? Can you speak very loudly, yes or no? This EVP is also from my first trip to the Tower of London. And again, it was just a creepy area. And you'll hear me tag noises. And just before I say, make your presence known, you'll hear a lady's voice say, from Betis. Now, you might wonder, what does that mean and why is it important? Well, my best friend Stephanie, who I drag along with me to all these things, is from South Wales and a place called Betis. That's very strange and very unusual considering we were in London. It's a female voice, and it just seems like she's trying to get that across. I don't know what she wanted. That's all we got. But you'll hear it, and it's just before I say make your presence known. Background noises, people speaking. Feel free to make your presence known. Background noises, people speaking. Feel free to make your presence known. So after Stephanie and I finished up our investigating in London, we went back to South Wales to visit her family, where she does live, in Betis. And along the way, every time we go anywhere from her house, there's this little adorable, very old church with a very old cemetery. And I said, I just want to go in there, some night. Got a feeling again. And it happened to be a little church where her parents had their vows renewed. So in the video, you'll see that it's kind of shaky. And that's because we were walking out. We didn't get anything on the K2. And we were walking out. It was a very cold November, damp evening. So we were walking out and walking back to her house. And as I'm talking, you'll hear me say, something along the lines of, so your parents had their vows renewed here, their 50th? And I'm talking like that. Well, in between it, you hear a female voice just simply say, my father. That's it. Now, Stephanie and I were the only two people at night in that cemetery. There was nobody there. There was nobody out front. We were still inside the gate. Now, this is it's a village. So it's not like there's all kinds of people wandering around on the street, but you can't hear it from outside. You hear it from where we're at. So listen, it says, my father. That your parents renewed their vows, and after how long? Close to 50 years.
I know it's probably a bit.
That your parents renewed their vows, and after how long? Close to 50 years.
I know it's probably a bit.
Now, generally, and this is in the same house, generally, I do not antagonize a ghost. Right? We try to be civil. But there were some reports of some really scary stuff going on in there. No touching or anything, but just visual. And I happen to know the people there, and I know that they're credible people. So this is a K2. This is actually a video. You're not going to hear any voices. This is a video. And I said something. They said that they were seeing like claws. And the person that was seeing this does have very sensitive abilities to these things. And again, I know this person very well. So I don't doubt it for 1 minute. No reason to not tell the truth. And I was asking questions, and one of the things I finally said was, so you seem to like to scare people. Yeah, and you'll see the K2 meter. It doesn't go off crazy. It just goes off. This is the first time in the entire night, and this was a couple of hours worth, that I got anything on the K2 meter. So you'll see what I mean. If I'm sounding a bit aggressive, it's because you're doing some pretty nasty things, scaring people. Claws. Oh, yeah. You like doing things to scare people? If I'm sounding a bit aggressive, it's because you're doing some pretty nasty things, scaring people. Claws. Oh, yeah. You like doing things to scare people? We're going to Wales now. This is where my best friend lives. And she's got some friends there. And one of them was saying that they're having some problems at their house. And there's a youngster that is afraid of the room. Okay. So you're going to hear in this clip I had like a ghost box. So it scans radio channels. But I just had it on static. So you're going to hear that noise. But I asked, what's your name? And you'll hear, it sounds like a younger man, a male voice, say what I believe is Peter. Now, again, this would be a Welsh or an English accent. So instead, it sounds like Peter, but he says Peter. Take a listen. Were you trying to scare somebody? What's your name? Were you trying to scare somebody? What's your name? So that's a bit of a tour of the ghosts of the Tower of London and home in Wales. Ghosts are everywhere. I hope you've enjoyed what we've got so far. There's plenty more to come. I am Lisa Lano, Paranormal Queen. I'm your host. I am a medium, a psychic, and a ghost investigator. So feel free to ask any questions or give me your comments or tell me your ghost stories because I would love to hear them. Plenty more coming up. Thank you so much for watching. Have a beautiful ghostly evening.